Your favorite film is awful.
Hello, and welcome to Your Favourite Film is Awful, the show where we take your favourite films and defend them against negative reviews. As always, I'm with Charlie. Say hello, Charlie.
Doing, hello, everyone. How are we doing?
And and special guest, it's Terry Merkin. How you doing, Terry?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Hi.
Thank
I'm
you for
very
having
well.
me.
And I am Luke. I just realised I didn't introduce myself. I am a fool. How have you both been? Have you been well?
I've been good. Yeah, who first? Let's go. I've been good. Although I did my neck in recently, so I just want to apologise to everyone in advance. If
Again?
my enthusiasm is
He's
yeah,
he's going to be doing. We should all just act like robots so Charlie doesn't feel left out.
Yeah,
and just...
that's what I feel like. So if I look a bit stiff, it's because that's why. Yeah, so if I'm a bit rusty this episode, that'll be why. But thankfully, I have my main man, or my main woman, Terry here.
Hello.
And so Terry, how have you been?
Yeah, no, I've been good. Been watching lots of Tom Cruise, which is.
You've been
a lot
watching
of
Tom
fun.
Cruise. What have you been watching?
We have watched Top Gun, Jerry Maguire. We watched Interview with a Vampire recently. We also watched Mission Impossible, but I did fall asleep for that one. And then we watched Edge of Tomorrow just this morning.
Nice. Well, that's a good selection of
Great
Tom
run.
Cruise you got there.
It's been a cruise-a-thon.
Cruise-a-thon.
Cruise control.
I love it.
Yes, I feel like my
Amazing.
life has been in cruise control.
Perfect.
And Charles, what have
Best
you
way
been
to spend
watching?
it. I've actually had a bit of a little run of goodies. Actually, I've watched a
Okay.
couple of goodies. So I watched A Tale of Two Sisters, which is like a horror film, a Korean horror film, and it's really good. I recommend it to people. I don't want to. It's one of those movies where like the sort of the plot gets revealed as how can I explain it? Like the twist is part of the plot. It's hard to
Yeah.
explain, but basically it's about like two sisters who go to meet their dad's new like the stepmom after their mum died, and she seems to be a bit of an evil stepmom, and things seems to be sort of being horrible to them within the house. But that's all I can say without ruining too much. So that was good. I recommend that to a lot of people. It's a very good movie. And I also watched I watched The Grey, the film with Liam Neeson.
Oh, okay.
How was
Yeah.
that?
Well, I remember when it came out at the time, and I wasn't into the idea of, I don't know, I just didn't hear much about it, so I didn't watch it. But then like I started listening to podcasts, and everyone was going, "Oh, it's a really underrated little film," sort of thing. So I watched it recently because I think it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime,
Okay.
and it's really fun. Like it's really like it's a really cool horror, and some of it's actually terrifying. It's essentially about a group of guys that sort of live in, I don't exactly know where, but somewhere very cold, and they get on a plane, and the plane crashes, and they land like in the middle of this like blizzard, like snowy scape, and there's like they need to try and obviously save themselves. Loads of people have died from the plane crash, and there's like a group of men that are left. So not only have they got to get to survive, just somewhere warm to survive in this blizzard, there's also a pack of hungry wolves after them. So
it's like Winter Lost.
pretty much, yeah. It's very it's but the wolf stuff is fucking terrifying, and like I could never tell if it was like CGI or practical. A lot of it was really well done.
Snow is like really scary as well because like your body just shuts down and all you can see is just white, can't you? You can't see where it begins or ends. Like that is
100%.
terrifying.
Well, that's what I liked
it's
about it. It's kind of like
It's
like
the
all these
way
guys
your
stuck
body.
in, so go.
God. It's the way your
Nick.
body. Where if you experience extreme cold, your body goes into the overdrive and thinks it's too hot, and so you strip and then freeze to death naked. That's like the fact that the cold can fuck with your brain that much. Terrifying.
Like people
Go back to what
hallucinate and all sorts. Really scary.
100%. Well, that's what's so good. That's what I really liked about the movie was, and I wasn't expecting it. It was a bit of an underrated gem, I thought. Was that obviously you have this blizzard and this cold, and just to survive. It could have been its own movie itself, just them trying to survive from the plane crash. but then it has this extra element of the wolves are after them as well that makes everything 10 times scarier and more intense. And the tension's fantastic. I think it's probably my favourite Joe Carnahan movie that I've seen. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, obviously it's got some trope stuff that we've seen before, cliches, but a really fun sort of little like horror movie, essentially, or survival horror movie. So I highly recommend that. And the third one, just quickly, is Popstar Never Stop Stopping.
Oh yeah,
I finally watched that, and I was dying. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was like some of it almost wasn't funny because it was too truthful. Because it's like a comment on like pop music.
Okay.
And it's like a comedy, but like they're taking the piss out of like pop music and sort of how they're made and what the songs sound like and how someone's career could go to flames and how they bring themselves back through making tosh, essentially, a lot of rubbish. But it's really funny, and it's obviously the Lonely Island guy, Andy Samberg and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was dying because the music's also really funny that they make, like really well done, and it's also worrying because you're like, yeah, this doesn't sound too dissimilar from like some of the pop music that we get anyway. And also the stories in the pop world that happen, like. But yeah, very very good movie. I highly recommend that. I was laughing my ass off. That was a good comedy. Very good comedy.
I love that. You have such a good ability to like sell every movie that you watch and be like, yeah, you make me want to watch like every movie you describe.
Oh, thank you.
It's great
Thank
fun.
you. It's sometimes to my detriment though, because I've described movies to people before, like and they've like, it didn't sound nowhere near as cool as the way you made it sound. And I'm like, I guess that's a compliment. I guess.
You can oversell. I've experienced this myself.
You have experienced it.
Oh no!
I just love it, man.
What was that?
Brilliant. But so Luke, what have you been up to, mate? I want to know what films you've been up to as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I watched 2 films that you already know about and 1 film that will be a surprise because I haven't told anyone yet. So the one that I watched that you won't know is They Live, the John Carpenter classic.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, I finally got round to watching it. It's good, but it's like the pacing is weird.
Yes, I know. That's what I kind of love about it.
I simultaneously think it was like the perfect length and it was too long because bits are slow. Ultimately, it's a alien takeover invasion thing. There are these glasses. It's all very cool. I'm not going to sell it because it's really old. And if you either know it and you've already watched it, or you don't know about it and you're not going to watch it because it's an old film. It's a good film, so you should watch it. See, Terry's is blank-faced because I do not have Charlie's
I don't know if
charisma.
I should or shouldn't watch it now. You were like, it's an old film, don't watch it, but do watch it.
Watch it.
It's essentially about a guy who puts sunglasses on. It's essentially about a guy who puts sunglasses on, and when he puts them on, he sees that half the world is run by aliens.
Oh,
he
that
sees the
sounds
world
cool.
as it truly is, which is all
is.
subliminal messaging and stuff. It's very well done.
It is. It's cool because obviously, like you said about the pacing, I quite like the pacing because it starts really slow and then it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier and bigger and bigger. And you're like, I didn't even know we was gonna get this big. It's sort of by the end of it.
When was it made?
1980
something.
Oh, so it's not that old. Well, you said it was an old movie.
No, yeah,
I was
it's not
expecting
pre-70s,
like
You
a
say
black
it's
and
not
white
that old.
movie.
You realise 1980s was 40 years ago.
88 it come out.
Yeah, but like, you know,
over 30 years
I mean,
ago.
it's still contemporary, isn't it? It's not like an old movie. Like, if we're going to talk an old movie, then we're going to say, like, the original
Pre-70s.
Star is Born. Like, that's an old movie. Like,
Yeah, I would say pre-70s is old.
yeah,
I would say.
yeah.
And then the other
say.
2 films you'll know I watched if you follow us on the Instagram at Your Favorite Film Is Awful, and they are It's Palm Springs and Love and Monsters.
I
They're
also
very different
watched
films.
Palm Springs.
They're both great. It's good, isn't it?
It was so good. I had a really good time.
Yeah. It's got some issues here and there, I will admit. However, it is such a good, fun take, and like all of the reactions. So it's, for those that don't know, it's like a groundhog. It's your typical time loop situation, but told slightly different. But the way the different people react to the fact that they're stuck in this time loop it's correct. It's correct.
Okay, that sounds cool. I've not seen it.
If you kind of take the whole movie and like say who the cast is and like what the premise is, you're going to be like, no, this isn't. Shouldn't work, but it really does.
It's
And it's really
perfect.
funny, yeah. And like Andy Samberg's character has been stuck in the time loop for we don't know how long.
Yeah.
So he's already established in the time loop. So it's just a really smart way of playing it,
Okay,
and
cool.
it's definitely worth a watch. It's really funny, and the
Also-
chemistry between the actors is great. Sorry.
No. Also, I think Palm Springs is the only film with a mid-credits scene that fixed an issue I had when the film did.
Which one?
Because the film ended, and I was like, oh, but I have this issue. And then the mid-credit scene happened, and I was like, oh, okay, that's all good. But you'll have to
Obviously
watch
we
the
can't
film
say
to
'cause I
find
haven't
out.
seen it.
Yeah, I don't want to
exactly.
spoil anything, but I'm trying to
can't.
remember if it's the one that I'm thinking of. But there's no point in me being like, is it the one that I'm thinking of?
There's no
So
point, 'cause
maybe
some people
we'll
won't
talk
have seen
about
it.
it another time. Yeah.
But what I will say, right, is so these films are 2020 films, but we in the UK have only got them now because of, pandemic and then streaming rights, I guess. And that's just so crap. I feel like we're in an era where you can live stream the same piece of footage around the world.
Yeah.
Give
I agree.
everyone the same crap at the same time. Come on.
100%. 100%.
Anyway, that overran because we all decided to talk
Rant
about a
of
lot
the
of
day
films.
done.
Done. We're finished with that. Terry, you have brought your favourite film, one of your favourite films, and that
One
is
Mean Girls.
Mean Girls. That's
Hey,
why we're
which
all in
is-
different shades of pink, because
Sort
on Wednesdays
of.
we wear pink.
Sort of. Mine looks like purple.
Yeah, yours is
camera, I don't know why.
definitely like purple. Mine's the whitest shade of pink anyone could imagine, and Terry's the only one wearing pink.
So that makes me Regina. That makes me the Queen Bee.
There we go.
You got the hair as well, the blonde hair.
Yeah, I dyed it just for this. I was ginger before, and now here we are. So.
I love it.
Commitment.
Right. How are we going to do this? How are you two going to tell us the plot of Mean Girls?
Oh, well, I had a cheeky little text from Charlie earlier to prep for this, so
Oh, okay.
I raided the internet to try and find a decent synopsis, which is actually really hard to find. Took one from Rotten Tomatoes, so would you like me to read out the Rotten Tomatoes synopsis of Mean Girls?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Okay, so teenager Katie Heron, played by Lindsay Lohan, was educated in Africa by her scientist parents. When her family moves to the suburbs of Illinois, Katie finally gets to experience the public school and gets a quick primer on the cruel tactic laws of popularity that divide her fellow students into tightly knit cliques. That was a really long sentence.
That was such a long sentence.
She unwittingly finds herself in the good graces of an elite group of cool students dubbed the Plastics, but Katie soon realises how her shallow group of new friends earned this nickname.
Fantastic. I like that one. That was good.
Wonderful. That was very concise, and we couldn't at all tell that you were just reading it off the screen.
Look, okay, I try. You could try and learn it, but you'll forget something. And the
it's
problem
fine.
is, like, it's such a complex plot line with all like the secrets and the sneaking. It's really hard to condense it down.
That is true.
So
I know, but that's the fun. That's the joy of the give us the plot synopsis now. Beautiful.
I'm not gonna play your game.
Yeah, Luke
I was
like,
ready.
Luke likes to make people feel awkward.
I do. It's great. It's so fetch.
That's so fetch. Maybe Luke's Regina.
I am Regina.
No, Luke just said fetch, so he's
I
Gretchen.
said fetch. That makes me
Gretchen,
Gretchen.
Which makes
That
you
does-
Karen, Charlie.
That fits. That fits. That definitely fits.
That
I'm
does
Karen.
fit.
Definitely.
Anyway, enough of that, because it doesn't really matter, because you fucked it up. You read it off a fucking screen and you still fucked it up. How did you manage that? How did you manage that? Because you missed some of the most important stuff. And, like, Warren World tells you what the most important stuff is, with a 0 out of 10, explaining quite clearly. So far, in my life, my past illnesses included a stomach virus, a case of pink eye, a case of the flu, and 2 sinus infections. All of those combined were more enjoyable than watching this movie.
Well, I'm sorry to that guy. Because it sounds like he's had a shit time.
That is an awful time. That is the recipe of a bad time indeed.
But to be honest, I would rather watch Mean Girls on loop than have... Did he say he had pink eye at one point?
He did say he had pink
Yeah,
eye.
a sinus infection.
2 sinus
Yeah,
infections, pink eye flu,
Two.
and a stomach virus.
Wow.
Stomach virus. Damn. Yeah, I'd
He's
definitely
not had-
rather watch this.
Yeah, I would absolutely rather watch Mean Girls.
Yeah, 100%. Especially as Mean Girls is what, like an hour and a half, 2 hour max? Well, all those illnesses,
Literally.
you're taking like weeks to get over.
That's pretty
That was a
gross.
bad
Yes.
Right, okay. That was the funny one. That was the silly one. We get to point fun at Warren World's awful
Oh,
illnesses.
Warren. I'm sorry
Poor
that you're
Warren.
so sickly, Warren. Maybe you should
Sickly
see
Warren.
a doctor. And then
that
watch
might be a
Mean
good
Girls.
start.
Yeah.
That'd be a good start.
Yeah.
Okay, a different review. This one's from Michelle. So it's a lady. So automatically, like, they get in and they're a higher tier than Warren. Gah. This is a negative review, obviously. That's what we do on the show. If you are looking for a typical Lindsay Lohan movie, this is not it. Please think long and hard before taking your pre-teen or teenage to this movie. It is offensive from the very beginning. Lohan's character explains that she was homeschooled, but she's not a geek or a religious freak. It then shows 4 backwards, gun-toting, homophobe little boys who are homeschooled for religious reasons. The language, sexual situations, and gay and lesbian themes were shown throughout the movie and were very offensive. Mean Girls is not a good one to take your kids to. Try Ella Enchanted instead. I always love the ones that just
To be fair,
tack on
Ella
another film at the
Enchanted. Ella Enchanted is a great movie. You should go and see it.
Wait, is that the one with? Wait, is that the one with
With Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway? Yes.
Yeah, and she
think I might have
has to
seen
do
it.
everything that she's told.
Yeah.
And then at one point they're like, sing, and she starts like singing Somebody
Oh, that
to
sounds
Love by
terrifying.
Queen.
Yeah, is it like a Disney movie, like one of the Disney movies?
Yeah,
Or,
it's
yeah.
I don't know if it is Disney,
I think it's
but
just generic
Disney-esque.
princess movie.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. It's really good.
Fantastic.
Good. But it's really interesting that the beginning of that review said that this is not your typical Lindsay Lohan movie, because this was actually Lohan's first not Disney movie.
Ah.
So she'd previously done Freaky Friday, which was Disney, with Mark
Same
Waters.
director.
Yeah. And then this was her first like Take Me Seriously movie. And she was meant to play Regina George, but she was like, I don't want everyone to think that I'm mean, so I want to play the nice character. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's so
it's-
true. And what I agree with that is that it isn't like another Lindsay Lohan movie.
No.
For the better. Not
Yeah.
in the sense that like this is actually, even though it's a, on the surface is a teen sort of chick flick rom-com looking, type of movie, underneath it is some really interesting topics and political themes throughout that make it stand above those other movies.
And
mean,
you know, sorry, go on.
No, go Karen.
I was gonna say that some of the jokes are like super offensive, and like some like this film was 2004, so like a lot of it is of its time and hasn't aged well. But also we correct a lot. We don't correct a lot of it at the end of the movie, but we acknowledge at the end of the movie that these things are wrong. But this is the film is capturing the growing up that we all did through high school
Exactly.
of being these people and saying these outrageous things and growing up and realizing these things aren't okay and that the status quo can't stay the same. And so I think
100%.
the movie perfectly captures that. And I do think, although maybe we shouldn't show 11-year-olds wide set vaginas, but also why not? Like, We're not showing them, but we're
talking about them.
Yeah.
It goes into what me and Charlie have said before, where a parent, which this obviously is complaining about some of the vulgarities and some of the like scenes that aren't appropriate for children, but thus they're stopping their child from getting any form of education on that subject. Therefore, they're making their children less complete and whole formed people, and so they're damaging the child by complaining about the thing that they think is damaging their child. And it kind
100%.
of goes in that like loop.
Exactly.
And what I also love specifically about this review is that they talk about the 4 gun-toting homophobe boys from when Lindsay Lohan's character, when Candy talks about homeschools, and then immediately says that some of the things that she didn't like are the gay and lesbian themes.
Yeah, that is a weird contrast.
That's
Are
like
they-
Also,
saying,
like
oh,
it's clearly parodying like those people that are ignorant to it as well,
Yeah.
especially with those 2 kids. He literally says like God created the remnant 5,000 to kill the dinosaurs and the homosexuals. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Like, we
it's
know
clearly
like
ludicrous
out there, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen.
100%. And I just want to touch on what you said, Terry, a minute ago. Is like I think this movie is like a really good sort of like tale of like how to be happy in a weird way, or to how to be,
How to have peace with those around you and yourself.
and be a good person kind of thing. It's got quite good like messages I think for younger children in terms of
Especially young women, like, because the whole
100%,
message of the movie is to support other women.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
so much of the media forced down our throats is that other women are the threat and other women are here to take our men, and it's all other women's fault, and it's not. We need to come together. And even, as like Tina Fey like says in the movie, like, you can't call each other sluts and whores because it will make men think it's okay to call you sluts and whores, you know, and that's never okay. We shouldn't slut shame anybody. And I think this movie walked so that movies like have you seen Moxie on Netflix?
No,
Not yet.
I haven't watched it, but the whole premise of it is girls in a high school start to stand up to the male oppressors within their daily lives. So like girls who are sent home for wearing strappy tops and things like that, like they start to stand up for it, and they publish a magazine saying, you know, we're not going to be oppressed anymore. And like Mean Girls walked so these things could run. Because
or even
before,
like Booksmart, for example.
exactly,
Like where you got these 2 main characters that are constantly complimenting each other and saying, "Oh, you look so good," and you look great. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, and I think that's kind of a change and shift, hopefully, in society as well.
Absolutely.
Like you said, Terry. Because I think this what's really clever about this movie, I think, is that you're watching the movie through Lindsay Lohan's character's perspective, Katie. As you know, this outsider, she's looking, you know, she's been homeschooled, she's never experienced like the public school life before, so you watch it through her eyes, and what's great about it is you're kind of seeing the sort of ridiculousness of these cliques and the culture of school that, you know, you can say stays at school, but you know it kind of transcends to post school. You know, you look at Instagram, for example, it's literally who is the most popular, you know, and I think. And like, you know, we have the whole problem now in the culture of, you know, girls growing up and seeing on young guys growing up and thinking, this is what my life needs to be. I need to look a certain way because this Instagram person does or doesn't. And I think this movie's got a great message of like, no, you just need to be who you are, be a nice person to other people. And I think it's really well done. And I think in the way it shows, you know, kind of power corrupting everyone,
Yes.
even the nicest person who's come from a background of, you know, not experiencing any of this sort of world before, can also still be corrupted by having the power of being the popular person.
Exactly.
And I just think it's like, I mean, this is I'm talking about all this, and this is like, you know, a teen comedy. Do you know what I mean? And I just think that's the genius of Mean Girls.
Yeah, that's definitely
and not
like,
only
it's definitely its staying power. It's those reasons of, because we've all been to, like, I know for a fact that even though the cliques are quite exaggerated and it is very much that stereotypical, tropey, these are the cool kids, these are the Asian cool kids, these are the black kids, like, and it's very tropey. in that separation and segregation. But even in schools when I was growing up, there were those sort of cliques where it's like, these are the slightly more popular kids, and these are all the kids that like this stuff, who hang out together and have maths, and these are the kids that do this other thing, and these are the drama kids who do have maths as well, and so they'll communicate a bit, but primarily they'll stick in this group of like 4 lads, 4 girls, and those people that stay together. And those are the cool kids that have already like done sex education and know everything, so they're snootier and like know more than us, and they don't laugh at the vulgar joke. And like that, if you go into a school canteen, like in a regular school, you will see that division on a smaller, less exaggerated scale.
Absolutely.
An unsung sort of scale.
Exactly. And so that's why I feel even today, people, teenagers especially, can put in this film, watch it and go, it's an exaggeration, but that is our school in our first year of this school hell.
What was you gonna say, Terry, before?
I was gonna say that not only has Mean Girls had like such a social impact, it had like a huge impact on like female-centric movies. And especially like comedy movies and stuff like that, because before then they just weren't doing well. Like female, especially the comedies that were coming out with all female characters, they just were not doing well. And luckily, Mean Girls came out just in time to save the genre. And now we have like Legally Blonde. We have all these other huge movies that we wouldn't have had if Mean Girls didn't do well. So
100%.
Just a great movie for movie times.
I feel like we've defended against Michelle very well, so we'll put her over there. She doesn't even go here.
Consider yourself told, Michelle.
And we're going to go to an extract from Brian Orduff's review. This is a slightly longer one, so delay or no delay, feel free to interrupt me. It is 2 paragraphs, so I'll pause between paragraphs to see if you have anything to say. Mean Girls is only a genuinely smart, wonderful film for about a third of its runtime. The rest is devoted to stale gags. The film contains another entry for the 2004 Year of Fart Jokes Award, and material so depressingly familiar that it sucks all the energy out of the production by the time it reaches the hour mark, where it simply shrivels up and dies. So that's paragraph 1. Anything to say on that little extract?
I just wanted to say about the fart jokes, right? Because fart jokes are funny. All right? I won't accept that they're not. All right? And yeah, I understand, you know, if you use too many of them, you know, there is a problem there, right? But I don't think there's that many. And also, the audience is PG-13. Do you know what I mean? This is for a younger audience, an audience that is experiencing these things. And I know when I was that age, fart jokes were funny. All right, so
appreciated.
Exactly.
Because there are so many jokes in this that aren't for the kids that like
Exactly.
rewatching it as an adult, I'm like, oh my god, I get that now. I get why that's funny. But so you've got to have something in there for the kids. Oh, and they cut out. Do you know they cut out so many jokes to get it to be PG-13?
Really?
Did they?
Yeah. So you know when they asked about if her muffin was buttered.
Yes.
Oh yes.
It was actually meant to be he was meant to ask, is your cherry popped?
Oh damn.
And they cut that, and then the girl who made out with a hot dog was initially masturbated with a hot dog, and they changed that.
That makes more sense.
That does, yeah.
And then Gretchen was supposed to be giving the guy in the bathroom, she was supposed to be going down on him rather than smooching him at Katie's party. So that was cut.
Yeah. Well, her cousin.
No,
that's Karen.
That's Karen. Yeah,
that's the other one. But they actually managed. The people who make up the rules. I don't know who tells you what rating your movie should be. Those guys.
Yeah.
They were like, the wide set vagina stuff isn't okay. But they argued that similar dialogue was used in Anchorman and it was allowed then, so it shouldn't be harsher because it's women saying it. So, yeah.
Interesting.
There you go.
So do you think in today's society we're going to get a Waters cut of Mean Girls with all those jokes put back in?
I hope not. I don't want it. No. Do not release the Waters cut.
Or is it the Tina Fey? Oh, I guess is it the director's cut? You know, Tina Fey wrote a lot of the screenplay. It's very much got her voice, I think. You know?
It definitely has. It's definitely her voice.
Definitely.
Okay, so on to the second paragraph. Most of the fault for the failure of Mean Girls can be placed on Waters' shoulders, as he is just the wrong man for this job. Faye's script is peppered with biting jabs at over-indulging parents, sexualized preteens, a ripe topic if ever I saw one, and the awkwardness of being in high school without a defining identity. Waters directs the film as a slapsticky carbon copy of the 1 million other films featuring teen girls this past year. Yeah, it includes another slow-mo shot of the cool girls walking down a school hallway where the loser crowd parts, neglecting to come up with any fresh ideas of his own and ignoring Faye's lead in indulging the weirder side of the material. Faye doesn't come away from this completely clean, as 10 lashes are in order for writing an extra-sensory joke that actually includes the punchline ESPN. It's also too bad that she opted for such an unimaginative, played-out canvas for her first produced script, but under the direction of a Todd Phillips-style fearless yuckster, the dangerous side of girls would have been allowed to come out and play more. Waters can't quite sell anything that isn't completely obvious, and he's a wet blanket on the evident fun the cast is having. End of extract.
Can I just take the sentence, the girls needed to be more dangerous, or it was something of that ilk?
Mm-hmm.
Those girls are like the most dangerous girls ever, and they are literally exactly like that in schools. Like teenage girls are dangerous. End of story, and they are so dangerous in that film.
100%. Yeah, I found that review was amazingly scathing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was very, very nasty. I think it's just not true as well. Like you said, it's like every other teen comedy. I think if that was true, this wouldn't be the one we're talking about. What like 10 odd years later.
Yeah, 14 years later.
14 years later, exactly. So it's like, I don't think that's true. I think that this does, like I've said already, deals with like deeper themes than just, you know, the social politics of school. Yeah. I think it reaches a wider topic in that sense. I also think that it's weird that they're sexualizing these younger characters. I mean, they've clearly got older actors to play these young characters, for one, and two, when you're that age, that is the kind of stuff that you're talking about. Like, it's like, you know, it's like Big Mouth is dealing with sort of the show's dealing with puberty and stuff of that age. It's like that is what it's like growing up at that age, dealing with those issues, you know. So I find that weird to point that out as if like the filmmakers being pervy or in that sense. I just find that very weird, because I think it's trying to tell the truth of what it's like to be
a teenage girl.
Yeah, a teenage girl, and also make light of things and point the silliness of things, and also, you know, the serious parts of it as well.
And also, like, to say that it doesn't have any of its own jokes and it's not funny, like, we still meme it. There are, like, I use Mean Girl GIF. Like, I mix meme and GIF, and it came out GIF.
Yeah. Like how in the film, it's great and cool to make gruel. I get it.
Gruel, there we go.
Gruel.
I'm Katie. Oh no. But yeah, like there are we still meme it today. I still use Mean Girls GIFs like every day. So it clearly resonates. The humour clearly still resonates with all of us.
100%. I still call in sick exactly like how Karen does. I'm sick.
Boo,
also,
you whore.
Exactly. Every time, I tell you what gets me every time, when he's like, "Oh my God, Danny DeVito, I love your work."
Yes.
Cracks me up. That cracks me up. There's so many like what's it? For you go get Glen Coco. You go Glen Coco.
You go Glen Coco.
Everyone knows that. Like,
but
exactly.
Like so many people miss the best joke of the whole movie, and it's that Regina George thought that Janice Ian was a lesbian because one time she told us she was Lebanese, and we find out at the end of the movie.
That's so good. Yeah.
So
so good.
it's
that
the
is
best, like, subtle, long-running joke. It's so funny.
No, it's so
funny.
good.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
No,
this,
yeah, go on.
this second paragraph is quite. It's very much saying like the potential was better than the film, therefore I'm going to slate the film and the directing and the writing because it didn't live up to what I thought it could be.
Yeah,
Like that's like he's put it in a critical way because he's a film critic, but that's all it really boils down to is I wish it had been better, and because it
But do
wasn't
you know
better,
what?
fuck you.
It turned out really great for what it originally was, because Tina Fey pitched it based on this book called Queen Bees and Wannabes, which was actually non-fiction. It was like a help book for parents on how to guide their teenage girls through like boys and breakups and makeup and all that. And she didn't realise it was non-fiction until after she'd got like the contract signed to make the movie, and she was like, I'm in the shit, I've fucked up, I've pitched this movie and there's no story. So I think it turned out spectacularly considering that.
100% agree. I also think it's just not true. Like, there's so many clever things in it, even just down to the foreshadowing of the bus at the start. You know, when she goes to step in front of the thing and the bus comes past, and then later on, obviously, that pays off when she gets hit by it. There's
She says
so many great gags.
another reference to the bus as well when she said something hit her like a big yellow school bus.
Yes.
So it's
Exactly.
very clever, very cleverly done.
100%. Like, there's so many great lines, and I just love how there's that great bit with the teacher realizes like there's this bunch of these teenage girls, and he's like, yeah, I don't know if I could deal with this. Miss Norberry, you deal with this. And she does like a great job. And I think it's interesting because I think she's like the best mate that she kind of has throughout the whole thing. Like, I forgot the character's name.
Which one?
Katie?
Not Katie. The first mates that she met. The first two
Janice.
mates that she met.
Oh, Janice.
Janice and Damien.
That's it. Janice. Because even Janice, you could see, could be considered sort of, you know, not the nicest person either.
Oh, she's not.
She's still conforming to that.
Yeah.
Trying to get pleasure out of ruining someone else's life. It was her idea in the first place, sort of thing.
Well, yeah, that's her thing, is that she's seeking vengeance. So
Exactly.
from the offset, she's not a nice character, and like she concocts this whole secret operation scheme to destroy the plastics, and nobody does that if they're the nice person.
No. But we all know who the true villain of this movie is, don't we?
Oh dear, is this a trap? What's going on?
Well, the true villain of this movie is misogyny.
Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
True.
Yeah, okay, cool.
You scared? I was scared to say it then. I was like, oh.
Yeah. No, yeah. 100%. And I think it does a really good job of pointing out those issues, particularly like you said earlier, Terry, about the pop in your cherry, the spread in your butter sort of thing, the way he makes her feel awkward in
And that is
the canteen, and that is classic.
A universal experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like this is a film in 2004 that's pointing those out as well,
Yeah.
which I think
No,
is
absolutely.
important.
And I think one of the really important things to note about the film is that it's not empowering for women in like the Snyder sucker punch upskirts, have a weapon and she'll feel good, because that's still like the male gaze, that's still male escapist fantasy. But like with Mean Girls, like it indulges the female fantasy. It's, women taking sort of back for themselves. I actually read this really interesting article that was saying how male escapism is like selfish men who get redemption through like a heroic story and become less selfish, but then the female ones are selfless women doing selfish acts for once. I think that's
very interesting. That's very interesting.
And when I was looking at this compared to like Sucker Punch, like you can really see the two different ones, and like how things are disguised as empowering women when they're really just not. So
True. I think pulling out like Snyder, and like, if we go into DC Universe films, especially the way that they've handled Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn, you can tell if it's a male director. I know in Harley Quinn, there's a slow rising shot from her heels, and then it slowly goes to her ass, and then it's the full body, and it's like, oh yeah, look at how lovely her legs are, look how great her butt is, oh yeah, and the rest of her is also there. But then you have a similar shot in Birds of Prey, but it's look at her shoes, and now look at the rest of the woman, like immediate, like the very nice zoom out, being like, this isn't sexualization, it's the same shot, but you can tell that this was a woman and this was a guy.
Yeah, no, you can really see the difference between like the male gaze and what men think women find empowering, and the female gaze and what women do actually find sexy and empowering. It is vastly different. And you know what? To whoever wrote the last review, I love the scene where they walk down in slow-mo and she falls into the bin. I think it's one of the greatest.
Brilliant.
It's one of the most iconic scenes. So...
Also, it's great because it's subverting the teen.
Exactly.
That's a classic, you know, when the it girls walk down the corridor in slow-mo, and then for her to just fall straight into the bin. That's hilarious because you're just not expecting it if you've watched all those other teen movies that came out that year that he's comparing this to. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised watching Mean Girls. But
then we all go, that's me. That would be me falling in that bin.
Yeah.
So clever about it.
Makes it more relatable, definitely.
Absolutely.
But I just like how every character in it has their own issues and flaws, as you do when you're that age. Like even Regina George, you know, she's struggling with her weight, and obviously she's putting too much pressure on herself through society, obviously. And you have that scene where they're in the mirror, all saying horrible things about themselves.
Yes.
And Katie's sort of like, what? Like, 'cause she's never experienced that. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about you're watching it through Katie's perspective, and it makes you realise how silly it is to do that to yourself. But that's obviously how society has like got into the minds of young people, and you know, in terms of the way we promote things and you know, advertise
100%.
things, and
especially
and
nowadays,
that's there. Even though it's this funny teen comedy, there's moments like that underneath everything. That's, you know, it's pointing at a lens. It's more parody than it is fitting within the genre of the teen film. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Shall we do another review? We'll do
Shall we do another review?
Shall we do
You should
another
say that
review?
more often. You sound like Michael Buffer, the entrance. Somebody's always gotta go.
So this is from okay. It is 1 star. No one in this movie is ever truly gotten punishment for their actions. I guess all you have to do after severely bullying people, falsely accusing people, and creating a hostile environment is say, sorry.
She did get hit by a bus.
Bus? Yeah, literally. She got hit by a bus. She died.
She did.
And she had to go to prom with like a brace or spring fling or whatever they want.
Which I could do with right now, to be fair, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's what I need from my neck. That's what I kept thinking when I was watching it. I was like, I do want
However,
those.
since watching Always Sunny, I can't take the back brace seriously. All I can see is D in the brace.
That's funny.
Kills
That is
me.
funny. In fairness, because yes, Regina gets like karma punishment by getting hit by the bus. Like nobody, Gretchen and Karen, was it Karen?
Karen and
Yes.
Gretchen, yeah.
Karen and Gretchen, they are not punished, and Katie takes the blame for the entirety of the burn book, even though most of the shit that's in the burn book she wouldn't know about because she was only there for a term.
Yeah, but that's how it is, and also
That is
they get their redemption arc in that they restore the balance at the end, if that makes sense. Like everybody goes and does, and they don't bother each other for the rest of their school years. And you know what? Let's just go with the narrative that everybody deserves a second chance, and if you're willing to grow and learn from your mistakes, then you don't need to be hit by a second bus.
100%.
Well, to go into OOK's review, they say that, like, oh, you can do all these terrible things, but it's all fine as long as you say sorry. I don't know about you guys, but I've experienced bullies and I've seen bullies, and they don't apologize, and they're fine in their future life.
Yeah, no,
Like-
bullies do get away with it.
Yeah, like, yes, they say sorry and the world is fine. But that's movie world. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. At least they say sorry in this film.
That's true. At least we get an apology from them.
Well, that's what I like about this film is it's clearly trying to have a message. You know, it's trying to be like, this is what we can all get along if you just put these steps towards yourself.
Yeah.
Because you know you had that moment with Katie at the end when she's doing the quiz, the maths quiz, and she sort of realizes like her mistakes and says like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said these horrible things, and I could say that she doesn't look very good in what she's wearing, but it doesn't mean that she's not going to beat me in this maths competition. To the ladies, and I thought that was a nice way of summarising sort of the point of that. Anyways, like, it doesn't matter what you say to these people or what you do; it's your actions that matter, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But also, I just want to give a shout out to Amanda Seyfried because I think she's so funny in it. Like,
Do you know what? I actually think this is her best film. This and Jennifer's Body, I think, are her two best films. And this was her first movie.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It was her first movie?
Yeah, this is her first thing. Yeah.
She's so funny in it.
She's so funny.
Yeah,
She gives me all the biggest laughs. I don't know why. It's like
There's a 30% chance it's raining.
It's raining right now.
30% chance.
And it's literally clearly raining.
We've also got to talk about Gretchen's Julius Caesar rant because
that is such a good monologue.
Wonderful. Perfectly written, beautifully acted. And there's a shot, right, just after she does that, right? And she finishes the speech and she's like crying, and then suddenly she's in the toilet, and like the shot changes behind her, but she doesn't move. And it's done really flawlessly, and it's really clever. And I might have to show it to you after.
Yeah.
But the background moves from like the classroom to the bathroom, but she doesn't move. She stays exactly where she is. It's really cool. It's a
I
really
think there's
shot.
some really cool camera techniques in this movie. I think it's actually visually keeps you going, and like doesn't have anything there for the sake of having it there. Like, you know, having the slow-mo shot is then used for a gag, and like what kills me, another part that kills me is when Rachel McAdams, Regina George, finds out that the bars are like making her put on weight, and she screams and she screams the whole time as like the camera's like swooping in as she grabs the thing, and she's still screaming throughout the whole time. That was such a funny gag. Like, I think that's it's like so hilarious about, and she doesn't stop until she's literally stuck everything in and like glued it down.
Good.
So good.
And that was, I remember that being a huge twist when I very first watched it, because I thought she's going to write Katie, and then she writes herself. This is cinema.
Yeah. That was a twist for me this time, because I'd forgotten that plot line. I'd forgotten that point, so it was a twist for me. I was like, oh yeah, now she's going to get revenge. Oh no, oh my god. The drama.
Just to make it like personal, what I love about this movie for me was that when I watched this film, I was quite young, and I wasn't really into the idea of watching chick flicks as much probably back then, and I think my sister put it on, and I remember watching it, and it was the film for me that was like, oh wait, they can be really clever, and like, do you know what I mean? They don't have to be well, I think that it subverted all the tropes, and like did all these things, and it blew my mind. And I've often said to a lot of people, it's actually like one of my favourite chick flicks, up there with like Clueless, which are very similar movies, I think, in terms of how they deal with things. I just wanted to get that out there because I to counteract that review of like, I wouldn't have gotten into this genre as much as I did if it wasn't for this movie when I'm watching it at a younger age. And I think there's probably a lot of things I probably learned about myself through watching that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I just think it's hilarious. I just think it's so good.
Going back
It's definitely
to
sorry.
no worries. Go ahead. I've cut you off too many times. You go this time.
It's the delay. We'll get
It's
there.
the delay.
We'll get there.
It's all the delay. You go, Terry.
I forgot what my point was. I'm so sorry.
Perfect. I shall go then. Going back to what you've just said, Charlie, and Orndorff's review, the big critic one, about how it was a carbon copy. You can feel those influences from like Clueless and Heathers and The Breakfast Club. And from that aspect, I can see where he's coming from. But then it's taken those elements and it's made this perfect version, which I feel is why it's so successful and is still resonating with people. Because even though it is part of this, it's the same chit flick garbage, it's like the top tier of that, and it solidifies its placement with those films because it does that so well.
Yeah,
100%.
we don't watch a horror movie and go, "Oh, someone jumps out at us. We've seen this before. This is boring." Like,
No, yeah.
So why can't we reuse similar jokes in a different context? Like,
Especially subverting them. It
Absolutely.
It constantly subverts them. Constantly.
and that's what is so great about it. You know, that's what makes it work as a film.
does.
I've had a great time.
100%.
watching-
Well, you're going to have a
rewatching
little
it.
bit more great time
So-
because now you need
We've
to
got
give
more.
us your review. No, it's
review.
It's spotlight on you now, Terry. You got to give us the
Okay.
review recommendation, why you love
Okay.
it, why people should watch it. But, don't rant forever.
I'm gonna give it 4 stars.
You're giving your favourite film 4 stars? What's this madness?
It's not my favourite film. It's one of, and
Oh, right.
I'm giving it 4 stars because although some of it hasn't aged well, and some of it we can leave behind and go, that was 2004 and we don't need that anymore. While that is the case, it is an incredibly important movie for women in movies, for movies, you know, and I think it's absolutely hilarious. It makes me absolutely die with laughter every time. Still 100% memeable. I think there's very few plot points that don't get tied up in a really satisfying way, which is always great in a movie. I think people should watch it because of previous points that I've said of why it's so important.
100%.
Especially as a woman, you should be watching it. As a man, you should watch it as just a piece of feminist resource. And I think that it's really easy to watch it from the wrong lens. So I think, you know, there's a way to watch it and a way to enjoy this movie while still being conscious of the impacts that it has towards certain communities that it has disrespected. So
Yeah,
100%.
I think
Perfect.
I answered all your questions.
Spot on.
I give that
Spot
review
on.
5 stars.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was very good.
Ah.
Charlie's turn. Let's see if he can do as good.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Terry. I think it's a very important movie, not only just because it's a fun watch, but also I think it's important for young girls and boys to watch. Like for me personally, watching it, it made me understand sort of the struggles that my sister was going through that she might not tell me, you know what I mean, for certain, making me see through a certain lens because it was written by, Tina Fey. And I just, not even just that, but just like the gags in the film, I think are hilarious. I think it's a very clever film. I think it's, you could take away the fact that it's a chick flick, and I think anyone can enjoy this movie. And I think it's the perfect entry to that genre if you're looking to get into it, because it's got very crude humor and funny humor, but also
It's got farts for everyone.
exactly. It's just a blast. Every time I watch this film, I laugh. I still quote this movie all the time. I quote this movie all the time to everyone. Like, it makes me die. And it's one of those films I got to show later on to my younger sister. Like even I watched it with my sister, who's closer to me in age. My younger little sister, we all watched together, and it was interesting to see her and obviously her
that's
relate to
lovely.
certain things. And it's just a great movie, and it's a film that you can stick on as a family. I think everyone can watch this and enjoy this film, and everyone can relate, even if you don't necessarily even need to be a girl to understand the struggles of certain things. It's kind of universal, and obviously it deals with a lot of, like we said, the school and bullying, and these things exist regardless. I mean, you can flip it. You could flip it the other way, and it still kind of works.
It would probably work to an extent in a workplace. In certain places,
Exactly.
you still see it as an adult. Some of the behaviour.
100%. 100%. I just think it's just a good time. It's a good time. Rachel McAdams is an amazing actor, and and she plays the shit out of this role. Regina George,
cast.
The whole cast is
The whole
from top
cast
to bottom
fantastic.
is amazing. It's like peak, in my opinion. It's like peak Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah,
It's fantastic. I can't recommend this film enough. I agree with the 4 stars out of 5. I think, like Terry said, there are things now that are a bit dated. Some problematic things, I guess, but I just think the message of it as a whole is very important, and just a great film to watch with anyone. And I'm so glad it got that PG-13 rating, because I think it's important that it got that, so that this specific audience could relate and watch this and
100%.
get that message before it's too late and they become stuck in their ways and horrible adults. But yeah, no, that's my review.
Love it.
Mean Girls,
Beautiful.
fantastic, great movie.
I give
Check it
that
out.
review 5.5 stars.
Oh,
I got you.
I give it-
got you.
Thank you.
I give it 4.5 stars because you started the review by just relating back to Terry's review. Terry did all your lead work.
I just added.
Exactly, and that's
perfect.
why you deserve a lower mark. Bad. It's fine. I'm
You
going
deserve
to
it.
jump
I'm
in.
loving you in
and
this.
just-
In this. Sorry, I'm just loving you with the scarf on. Like,
Yeah,
you deserve a
it's so
lower
funny.
mark.
Lower
Like
mark.
a film
Lower mark for
critic.
you. It's the
He's like our
Oprah
professor.
meme, isn't it? It's lower
Yeah.
mark for you, lower mark for you, lower mark for everybody.
No.
Yeah.
I know. I'm kind of feeling it. It hides my fat neck. It's not bad. Does
What's
nothing for the
your
for the
review,
cold though.
Luke?
Right. Ooh. So I agree with you guys. I'm gonna do a Charlie and kind of just tack on to you guys' review, but then it's a weird one. Okay. So I agree that it is a necessary film watch. It is a good film watch, but it kind of sits in this weird place where. So I watched it last week, so I was ready and prepped for this recording, and this morning I was trying to remember plot points and remember what happened, and it was all kind of hazy. And it's like Mean Girls is like 5-star when you're watching it and when you're talking about it, and on October 3rd it's like top tier. But then if you're not recently watching it and it isn't October 3rd, it drops to like a 4-star, 3.5 star, because it doesn't commit itself to my memory, if that makes sense. Not at the detriment to the film, maybe as a detriment to my character, I guess. But it's a weird
maybe
one,
go
right?
do some brain training.
I need to do some brain training. Figure out something's wrong with me. But yeah, it's weird.
Help my short-term memory.
Help my short-term memory. But yeah, no, it's full of memes. It's a good time, and people should watch it because it is an exaggerated version of real life. Which makes sense because it's what's the word? Based. It's based on a non-fiction book. I can't believe I forgot the word based. How does someone forget the word based? How does that happen? But yeah, give it a watch. If you are of any gender, of any age, give it a watch. There is outdated things. The N-word is brought up a couple times.
Maybe not if you're 6, though. Then maybe 6-year-olds
Yeah,
shouldn't watch it.
stick to the 12, because it's 12 in the UK, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
12
so.
plus. Any lower, I think one of the reviews said it got a PG in Canada, but I didn't get to that one. Don't watch this if you're in Canada and you're below the age of 12. Or PG-13. Do one of those. Right. Terry, you've been fantastic. Please plug
you for
your
having me.
socials and where people can find more of you.
Yes, you can find me at Terry Murkin. That's TeriMurkin on Instagram, Twitter. You can find me on Twitch, where I stream Jedi Fallen Order and various other fun things. You can find me on YouTube, where you can rewatch those things that I've streamed. I am also on Patreon and Letterboxd. And I'm also going to say a bye from Colin the Caterpillar, because Matt just brought me a secret Colin the Caterpillar in the background.
Stealthy.
Because of the news. The news, I've been really craving one, so bye from Colin.
Bye, Colin.
That's me.
Fantastic.
Beautiful. Charlie, can you do it that perfectly? That social media plug.
You can find Your Favourite Film Was Awful on YouTube. Your Favourite Film Was Awful. You can find us on Facebook, Your Favourite Film Was Awful, Instagram, Your Favourite Film Was Awful, and Twitter, @FabFilmIsAwful. You can also check me out on Instagram, @CharlieLily, if you care about me and what I'm up to, because I'm doing some edits and stuff on there as well. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. We're plugging our own socials now. I see it.
I thought you were going to leave it as if you care about me. If you care about me, follow me on Twitter.
And if you
don't,
care about
then
me,
I'll just go kill myself.
Mr. LMJ Powell. There we go. I'll plug myself too.
You can make some cool art stuff on there, so check it out.
It is cool.
Yeah,
cool
I do
little-
things. And also, because Terry's just reminded me, we are opening a Patreon now. So if you want to
We are.
give us money, please do. Because, for every couple of quid means that we don't have to do an hour of normal work. We can focus on this work and then give you more stuff. Isn't that what you want?
true.
You don't want us to be slogging away at normal work, right? You want us to commit and do this, Your Favourite Film Is Awful stuff, and other projects that we'd like
And
to do.
be able to
which
buy
are many.
Colin Caterpillar cakes. We can't buy this
Exactly.
without
Be able
Patreon.
to buy Colin Caterpillar cake. God, come on.
Exactly.
Help us, help you, help us. Are we done here? I think we're done here. We done? Everything else all
done.
plugged? You're happily enjoying the cake. You haven't even waited until this is done. You're eating it now. I love it. That is commitment to the bit. Person watching, listening to this, thank you for joining us on this adventure. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
What's your favorite film? God, that's awful.
Favorite?
Awful. Awful. Your favorite film is awful.